what we have up next for you. It's a keynote address, and I'm welcoming the co-founder and chairman of Zebra Medical Vision Limited, Israel. It is a next-generation medical imaging research platform that is geared up to really enable scalable healthcare for the 1 billion people about to join the middle class by 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome for our keynote address, Mr. Eyal Gura.
So let me share with you a bit about our story and the journey and how we got here. And so we come from, my name is Eyal Gura, by the way, namaste, shalom. We come from a very small country called Israel, very far away from here. The entire country is in the size of the city of Hyderabad, I guess, in terms of population. And so we're very humbled to be here. My journey in healthcare started around 10 or 12 years ago by incidents. I had a scuba diving incident back in Mexico. I couldn't breathe or eat after emerging from the water. I was hospitalized in some mediocre clinic over there in a bed half my size. And then too many x-ray shots started to be taken at me. After the 8th x-ray shot, I had to beg the technician to stop because I wanted to be a father one day. And then we waited for 3 days for the radiologist to come from the big city to diagnose my x-ray scans. So it was very frustrating for me because beside the clinical frustration, I was also the CEO of that company that was mentioned before, PicScout, Picture Scouting. And that company at the time was the leading provider of copyright detection and the monitoring of copyrighted content online. So we were the guardian of photographs, and we were scrolling the web to see who is misusing copyrighted content. So it was very frustrating for me to be stuck there and not be able to do anything with my x-ray scans. So that was the very seed of the idea that led to what is now Zebra Medical Vision. So fast forward, today in the world, we see a huge shortage in physicians. We are all talking about it here in the conference. Specifically with radiology, there are many, many more slices per scan, many more scans that the radiologists need to review every single day and every single hour, and there are only a certain limited amount of hours per day. So what can you do about that? And misdiagnosis happens all the time as well. So at Zebra Medical Vision, our mission is to teach computers how to read and diagnose medical imaging scans. And the way to do it is now pretty obvious. Back then, 10 years ago, it was a bit odd that we're starting this journey. So let's do 2 show of hands. Who in the audience knows what is the ImageNet project? ImageNet? Oh, there are a few people here. Good. Another show of hands. Who in the audience feel that in the last 2 years, you don't need to help Google or Facebook anymore to tag your friends' faces in the photos or to tag concepts in your album? Who has this feeling? Okay, so many more people. So this actually has to do with each other. So the ImageNet project started many years ago at Stanford and by Professor Fei-Fei Li and her team. And the idea was to take advantage of all those machine learning theories that were in the academia and put them to play. But they didn't have data at the time. So thousands of volunteers started to tag concepts in 2,000 different categories of photos, regular photos, dogs, cats, salads, sunsets, whatever. And then breakthroughs started to happen. So computers became better and better than human beings in detecting those concepts until around 2.5, 3 years ago, where computers were actually better than human beings in detecting concepts in photos. So we are trying at Zebra Medical Vision to do the same thing. We aggregated enormous amount of data. We got 2 great data partners. One sitting right here at Intermountain Healthcare. It's one of the most known healthcare systems in the world in terms of quality. And we also have the Israeli largest HMO group, the national one, that provided us access to 20 years of longitudinal data. And this is very important. Digital health is a buzzword and it's very new, but some places in the world actually do digital things for many years. And we got lucky in Israel that because of lack of resources and how small is our country, everything went digital 20 years ago by the decision of the government. So electronic medical records, centralized imaging repository, everything got digital. And now we can harvest this and leverage this data to benefit the world. So based on those two data partnerships, we have access to around 500 million medical imaging images. And we're using this to train computers with AI to diagnose specific conditions. How are we doing with the presentation? And is it better? Should I continue to improvise here? Okay, so we have the data, and now, in the last few years, after aggregating it and put it in a centralized repository, cleaning it, de-identify it, we had to start putting the AI into play. So we have very talented people in Israel. It's a very condensed population of talent, actually. And now 400 multinational companies that open branches in Israel are competing for the talent pool. And with our team, we started to build algorithms. Each algorithm knows how to detect a specific finding in a medical imaging scan. So it can be detection of malignant tissues in a 2D mammogram. It can be the detection of a brain bleed in head CT. It can be a detection of pneumothorax in chest x-rays, and so forth. So we created around 48 of those tools in our lab, but an algorithm is not a product. So when you do medical device, and apparently this is what we do, so you need to put more rigor into it, and you need to put it into play, you need to have alpha sites, you need to experiment, you need to fine-tune it for the user experience of the doctor. And then you also need to regulate it. So we want to sell our product worldwide, so we need to have an FDA approval for each product, which means it needs to be in high quality, and it also needs to be safe, which is truly important for us. So in the last 10 or 11 months, we got 3 FDA clearances, so we are now in a row. We figured out how to do it, and we are creating more and more of those tools in an FDA-graded way. The 3 tools we got FDA clearance are the detector of pneumothorax in chest x-rays, the detection of brain bleeds in head CTs, and also automated calcium scoring in gated CT scans. And now we are taking more and more of those tools to market. So we learned a bit about AI, we learned about how data and talent are important. So now, what are we doing here in India? So I think it was around 3.5 or 4 years ago, we came and we met Ms. Sangeeta for the first time. And we noticed that we have much shared vision. The scale was very different. I was talking with Ms. Sangeeta about increasing our team from 5 people to 15 people, and how we are going to develop the first algorithms. She was talking about increasing the Apollo reach from 30 or 40 million people to 300 million people, and adding 10,000 more employees. So it's a bit of a different scale, but same vision. And then we started to find a way to collaborate. A year ago, such an opportunity emerged. So Prime Minister Modi came to Israel and met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and they formed a collaboration where India and the government of Israel will provide grants for such partnership like the one with Zebra and Apollo. So we got such a grant 6 months ago. It was super exciting. And the Apollo delegation and the HNG delegation, the subsidiary of Apollo that is the recipient of the grant, came to Israel. And we started to work on the documents. Around 2 months ago, we dealt with all the documentation. We were here, and there was a lot of work to do around that. And then the team started to work together closely to make it happen. So 2 weeks ago, actually, the Hyderabad and Chennai clouds were connected to our algorithms with a great partnership with a company called MedSynapsis. They provide the packs and the RIS for the hospitals. And around 40 hospitals were connected to the ability of AI all at once, cloud first. And we activated the service around a week ago, right here in the Hyderabad hospital. Okay, okay. Round of applause for the team. Thank you. Okay, so we discussed pretty much half of it. So we shared the vision, the burden on doctors, and how many more scans and how many more patients are there. And our mission in Zebra to affect as many people's lives by teaching computers how to read those medical imaging scans. We discuss our data partnership and the amount of data that is needed, and also the need for talent and strategic capital. Professor Feifeli, the inventor of ImageNet, is actually one of our investors, and also Professor Amnon Shashua, who invented Mobileye, who is the driver around the autonomous car industry now. So this morning we also announced the full integration to the Med Synapsis packs and the enablement of our services for the Apollo Hospital chain. And we discussed earlier the regulated product that we have and the FDA pathway and how important it is to make sure that all those tools are indeed safe and are manufactured in high quality. In many places of the world, AI is now becoming more of a commodity, so there are open source tools, and many hospitals and many universities are playing with those tools and are getting to very high accuracy rate when they test certain amount of algorithms on certain amount of data in their own lab. But as we mentioned earlier, making it a robust product that can work everywhere in different scanners, standards, in different hospitals, and still be safe it's pretty challenging, and you need a lot of capital and also patience for that. We connect to the hospital in one place in the picture archive system. We analyze the results either on-prem or on cloud, and then we push them to a few different user interfaces. One can be the radiology worklist, for example, where we can prioritize the acute conditions, and other clinicians can use it as well. So beside the broad clinical coverage and the fact that we need to be very tightly integrated into the workflow, there is also something that is mostly not spoken about, which is the non-artificial intelligence part of the business, which is the regular people-to-people business manner and how you provide great service, relationship, and support to your customer. This journey is just in the beginning, and we partner with certain hospital groups and providers that can also teach us how to do better and how to prioritize our roadmap so it can be more impactful. And the Zebra tools are installed in many places now, but again, it's still the beginning of our journey, but it's very exciting to see hospitals from Australia to Latin America and now here in India using the service. So we shared how we got to know Apollo and the generous grant that we got from the government. And that was 60 days ago. It looked like a year ago to some of the people here that worked so hard with our team to make it happen. And then 2 weeks ago, things actually started to work on the ground, and it's making an impact now. I was reported this morning that even last night, 6 cases of brain bleeds were prioritized here in the Hyderabad hospital just by this algorithm. I'll give you more context of why those tools are important. I call it the story of the 3 grandmothers. The photos are for illustration purposes only, but the cases are real, and it's actually real cases from real hospitals that we serve. So this first grandmother came to the hospital after a head trauma. A neuro examination was done, and the radiologist felt that everything is okay, and she was about to be released home. The algorithm alerted the department. They rerouted the pathway. They started an emergency procedure and really impacted her pathway just because of this alert. As mentioned before, we reached to human levels in many, or to human level capacity in many fronts, and when a resident or a radiologist is working during a night shift and very tired, sometimes there is a fatigue, and sometimes this safety net is very important. So this is just one case, and this might be one of those 6 cases that happened last night over here. Another story, this other grandmother came with a specific request by her GP to check in the hospital whether she have a condition called pneumothorax. It's a small rupture in the lung. The radiologist in this case also did not notice the pneumothorax, but because of this specific request of the GP, they sent her to do a CT scan, which is obviously much more risky in terms of radiation, the waiting time, the cost. The system was also there to alert on time. The pneumothorax was confirmed by the department, and this entire process and extra cost was saved. We did clinical trials, and we saw that we can reduce the turnaround time to see the acute condition by more than 85%. And just reducing this turnaround time is also very important in those acute conditions. So safety net, a second opinion, all those are things that are mentioned by the radiologist when they checked our product. Lastly, and this is more counterintuitive, it's a use case of population health management. So this grandmother, the third one and the last one for the story, she was admitted to Oxford Hospital in the UK. There was a suspicion for malignancy, for cancer. Luckily, everything was okay on that front, so she was released home. But a few months later, she got noticed that the algorithm of Zebra, they actually call those patients in Oxfordshire zebras. So she got a notice that she needed to go back to the clinic because a small vertebral fracture was detected in her spine. And because of her age, this is a key indicator for a coming osteoporosis fracture or a hip fracture, which many of us know about. Not many people are talking about it, but osteoporosis is a hugely underdiagnosed condition. Only 20% of ladies are being assigned to go to do DEXA scans. Guys don't go at all, and it affects all of us. So in this case, she was enrolled successfully to the National Fracture Prevention Program, and now she's under care. And since the beginning of the year, several hundred patients were already treated by this program just because our algorithms are running on the background and alerting the program about people that are in high risk for a future condition of osteoporosis. Just for Oxfordshire, this thing is on the track of saving £3.3 million just by using this algorithm. So there are a lot of cost saving as well, but this is NHS setting. I know in India it's different. So it's good for the patient. It's also good for the radiologist. They can still focus on the more acute things. And overall, it's a very positive impact. So in India specifically, we are on the very beginning of the journey, even though we already installed here with Apollo. The partnership, bigger meaning is how to serve rural India, and this is why the entities got the grant. So obviously the biggest condition to tackle is tuberculosis, with 3.6 million people that are misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed worldwide. And obviously, the way to tackle it is to do early diagnosis, but how do you do it? So if you want to do it, you need to get to 1 to 1,000 ratio of doctors to patient, which in India it means you need to train and generate almost 2 million new doctors, which is obviously impossible. So the good way to do it is to use software that is scalable and trusted, and now we call it AI. And by doing it to serve rural India with a screening of tuberculosis on chest X-rays, for example, the same thing can be applied to screen 2D mammograms for breast cancer, and therefore to provide more access, better outcomes, higher quality, and in a timely manner. So this is pretty much it. We're just in the beginning of the journey. It was said before that trees are being planted, so 10 years from now we'll see them grow, and I think by that time we will surely be impacting millions of lives here because of this important partnership that we just started. There was also
Artificial intelligence has changed the way we do things. Zebra Medical Vision, pioneering AI in medical imaging to enhance tools for radiologists to scan, detect, and ultimately mitigate the risks for patients worldwide. Zebra Medical Vision uses over 30 million patient scans to provide an all-in-one solution including patient triage, bone health, oncology, and cardiology diagnosis. It now ventures to India in partner with Apollo, helping over 1 billion people access faster and more affordable, high-quality medical care.
The Apollo Hospitals has always been at the forefront of inviting and accepting new technologies. For the last decade or so, there has been a tremendous increase in the volume of radiology scans that are performed, which meant that there are more scans and there are more images per scan. And radiologists, as within the normal human limitations, are unable to go through all the scans at the speed that is required to benefit the patients.
Artificial intelligence is estimated to enhance all these newer softwares. Now we have started using Zebra Medical Vision algorithms, artificial intelligence on pneumothorax and intracranial bleeds. This is going to enhance our confidence, save time and clinical decision making.
For example, what we're doing here with Zebra, by putting this algorithm for the detection of brain bleeds into every CT and into every hospital system, it will be able to flag urgent cases where patients have a critical or a serious condition, let the radiologist validate that, quickly inform the surgeon, move the patient to theatre, thereby minimize reaction time and save lives.
Technology is being used in the right aspect for health delivery. Put together the Apollo Zebra collaboration is something we are very excited about. We are looking forward to this making a transforming experience in the delivery of healthcare. This is what I would feel comfortable saying is transforming healthcare with information technology.
It's super exciting for us because Israel is such a tiny place. The entire country is in the size of one city in India. And here we are bringing innovation to 1 billion people. From mammography screening to tuberculosis screening, the potential is endless and enormous. And as you know, India is going to be the second largest healthcare market worldwide. So we are here and we're going to work together shoulder to shoulder to make it happen and to make a dent, and most importantly, to impact 1 billion patients with AI.
So I hope Zebra and Apollo will work towards this major goal and feel happy that you've given something for healthcare and for people.
Thank you.